Okay, so like I said, today on our Zoom meeting for poetry, we are going to be exploring hyperboles. And you probably wonder what hyperboles are. Um, Hyperboles are an exaggerated language, it's a way of expressing things. And I'm going to give you some examples. Okay. Now, a hyperbole is a figure of speech in which statements are exaggerated. Does anybody know what exaggerated means? Anybody can guess what exaggeration means? Okay, exaggeration is when you take something and you stretch the truth out just a little bit. And if the interesting thing about exaggeration is that it actually gives you a colorful way of looking at things. So, hyperboles may be used to evoke strong feelings in your poems or to create like strong expression, but it is rarely meant to be taken literally. That means you can't take hyperboles seriously, because if you do, then of course it will not be really factual, because you're taking something that is true and you're exaggerating it. You're making it over the top, or as you know, young people say, extra. You're being very extra. Okay. So like, here's some examples of some hyperboles that I think are kind of fun. Yeah. This coffee is so heavenly. Now, you know that the coffee really isn't heavenly, or the coffee isn't heaven, but to express how well you love the coffee and how the coffee made you feel, you use heavenly, right? Here's another expression of a hyperbole, okay? He towed over his partner. He towed over his partner, like, or he plowed over his partner. Now, you know, he really didn't plow over his partner, or he didn't tow over his partner. He really didn't run his partner over per se, but this is just giving you an example of how he rushed past his partner, right? Okay. Let's see. Another type of example of a hyperbole is, this thing weighs a ton. Now, we know that this thing probably didn't really weigh a ton, unless it really did weigh a ton, but that is what is called a hyperbole. Okay, we're exaggerating the truth just a little bit. Another one is, she is the most beautiful girl in the whole wide world. Now, she very well could be. She's a pretty gal, but, you know, there's no way to measure if she's exactly the prettiest girl in the whole wide world, so that's why it's called a hyperbole. Here are some other really common hyperboles that you probably heard before. That's enough to kill a horse. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. I nearly died laughing. I tried 1,000 times. She's 1,000,000 years old. I couldn't care less. Not in 1,000,000 years. Since the beginning of time. That's enough to feed an army. I'm so tired, I could sleep forever. I've done this problem 1,000,000 times and I still can't get the correct answer. I laughed my head off. Ha ha ha. My dog is the size of a horse. My brain is the size of a pea. Here's another set of hyperboles that you might be familiar with. And it can be also made into jokes too. Like, you ever heard like your mama jokes or you're so ugly jokes? Now, technically speaking, it's not fun to make fun of people, but in a joking situation where you're around friends and it is, you know, okay to joke with them, these are some really funny ones right here. My dog is so ugly, we had to pay the fleas to live on him. My dog is so ugly, we have to pay people to pet him. My dog is so ugly. The fire hydrants dis- disgust. They were disgusted with him. My dog is so ugly. You can tell if she's you can't tell if she's coming or going. My dog is so ugly. I have to tie a pork chop around the dog's neck so the other dogs can play with him. So those are hyperboles. And hyperboles can effectively help your poetry. Um Shel Silverstein in the book Where the Sidewalk Ends is one of my favorite books for poetry for kids. And also, I'm going to give you an example of one of his poems that is a hyperbole. Okay? This is called The Dirtiest Man in the World. Could you imagine being the dirtiest man in the whole wide world? I can only imagine that could possibly be like kind of weird and kind of scary, huh? Yeah. I would imagine so if you were like the dirtiest man in the world. I don't think I would want to be the dirtiest man in the world. Well, I can't be a man, but maybe the dirtiest woman in the world. I don't think I would want to be the dirtiest woman in the world. Would you? Nah, seriously, you really would be. It always takes that one student who wants to be the dirtiest person in the world. Okay, so to where was I? Oh, okay. I'm going to say this poem by Shel Silverstein, and it's an example of the hyperboles that we have been talking about, and it's called The Dirtiest Man in the World. Oh, I'm Dirty Dan, the world's dirtiest man. I never have taken a shower. I can't see my shirt. It's so covered with dirt. And all my ears have enough to grow flowers. Wait a minute. Ew. He had that much dirt in his ears that he can grow flowers? That's crazy. But the water is either a little too hot or else it's a little too cold. I'm musty and dusty and patchy and scratchy and mangy and covered with mold. But the water is always a little too hot or else it's a little too cold. I live in a pen with 5 hogs and a hen. And 3 squizzly lizards who creep in my bed, and they itch as I squirm and I twitch in the cruddy old sheets that I sleep in. If you look down my throat with a flashlight, you'd note that my insides are coated with rust. I creak when I walk and I squeak when I talk, and each time I sneeze, chew, I blow dust. I thought of a towel and some soap makes me howl. And when people have something to tell me, they don't come and tell it. They stand back and they yell it. I think they're afraid they might smell me. The bedbugs that leap on me sing me to sleep, and the garbage flies buzz me awake. They're the best friends I found, and I fear they might drown, so I never go too near a lake. Each evening at 9, I sit down to dine with the termites who live in my chair, and I joke with the bats. I have intimate chats with the cooties who crawl through my hair. I'd brighten my life if I just found a wife, but I fear that will never be. Until I find a girl gentle and kind, with a beautiful face and a sensitive mind, who sparkles and twinkles and glistens and shines, and who's almost as dirty as me. That is called a hyperbole poem. Now you can see how hyperboles can make your poem a little more colorful, how it can make it, the imagery in someone's mind pop out so they can see and vividly see more of what you're talking about. Hyperboles are wonderful exaggerations and a wonderful way to do poetry. Now, as I said, a hyperbole is an exaggerated way of making a statement and to make your poems more colorful. I'm going to read something else and you tell me where you can find the hyperboles at, right? Okay, so here we go. Friday night, I went disco dancing, and when I woke up on Saturday, my feet were killing me. Mom ordered me to clean my room or else. All day long, I worked my fingers to the bone getting things together so I'd be free to go out that evening. I was dying to see the new movie at the town center cinema. When I finished, however, I was so tired I couldn't move. So what do you think the hyperboles in this was? I'll give you a minute to figure it out, okay? Do 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 do. That was the whole. Y'all are familiar with Jeopardy, right? Okay. Well, some of you. Okay. So, my feet were killing me. Yes, that was one. It means what? That your feet really hurt really bad, right? And worked my fingers to the bone. What do you think that one means? Right. It means that you worked really hard. I was dying to see really means what? That you really wanted to see it. So tired I could hardly move. What do you think? Okay. You're right. You were so tired that, you were very, 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 very tired. So, what I want you to do with your art project that goes along with your poem, I want you to do some hyperboles and make exaggerations and draw a picture of your exaggeration as well. Now, you can either put it in the form of a poem or you can do it like, we did like the doggy jokes and everything if you wanted to do it that way too. I'm going to show you mine and what I did, all right? This is mine. You see? There's a guy who, this is supposed to be fire, by the way. It's a guy who's blowing his gasket. He's supposed to be really angry. I don't know if I portrayed angry so well in this picture, but yeah, he's supposed to be really, really angry, okay? So, now, mine's was about anger, being so angry, and I exaggerated the reasons why I was so angry. So, my first one is, I'm so mean that anger sparks swim away from me. I'm so angry that the definition of angry has my face next to it in the dictionary. I'm so angry that the boogeyman is afraid of me. I'm so angry that I'm just angry. So that's mine. That's mine right there. Okay? So what I need you to do is I need you to do your own hyperboles, and you can do your hyperbole poem, or you can just do like I did and just make some exaggeration sentences and draw your picture. But I hope you enjoyed learning about hyperboles today. Hyperboles are fun, and they make your writing really creative and really fun. You can find more in this book, Shel Silverstein's Where the Sidewalk Ends. We're going to do a lot of we're going to read a lot of poetry from this book because it's a really cool book. And it has a lot of cool poetry in here. And a lot of cool poetry that you guys can understand. All right? So I'll see you next class, all right? All right, guys? Bye.